Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I am the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is for chapter webmasters or people that are looking to become chapter webmasters. One thing that you may or may not know, but every single chapter in BNI has their very own chapter web page. Now, the chapter web pages are automatically created. They pull a lot of information directly from BNI Connect, so it makes them very, very up-to-date and also easy to customize. There's a built-in CMS editor that allows you to go in and change the content and add pictures and do all sorts of stuff with your chapter websites. Before we get started on today's content, what I'd like to do is to let you know a couple of housekeeping things. The first of which is that this is a live webinar. So that means that as we're going through the content today, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask those questions. I'll be happy to answer them as we go along. The best way to ask those questions is to please type the questions into the questions panel in the GoToMeeting software, and I'll see that pop up on my screen and I'll be able to answer it right away. This webinar is also being recorded. It will be made available on the support site. You can get to the support site by clicking on this question mark here in the upper right-hand corner. That will take you to support.bniconnect.com. And right after our list of upcoming webinars, you scroll down just a little bit and you'll see chapter training and documentation. And here in this section, you'll see all of the documentation about BNI Connect, but also the recorded webinars. The recorded webinars are done month by month, so you can see going back a couple of years, but this month, November 2014, you can either watch them in a small window here or go to our YouTube site in order to see them full screen. This one will appear on the list right down here as soon as I get it uploaded. YouTube.com/BNI Connect Global. That is our YouTube site. We have tons of content up here. We have special messages from Dr. Ivan Meisner, as well as a whole series of educational moments. Those are short 3 to 5 minute videos. You're welcome to share those with your chapters, especially if you're teaching a new function, such as how to pass an online slip or something like that. You'll also see all of the webinars as well as a bunch of other content as well. We are scheduled for about 30 minutes worth of content today, so I do try to be respectful of everybody's time that they're putting into this further education, but also realize that you do have businesses to get back to. So that being said, the content will go for about a half hour, but I am always happy to stay on as long as you have questions. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you'd like to. All right, so let's get started with today's topic, which is for webmasters or people that would like to become webmasters. So as I mentioned before, every single chapter has their own chapter web page. Now, these are part of the regional websites. So, for example, I have a test region set up in Antarctica called AntarcticReferrals.com. Let's say that somebody's on this page. I go to find a chapter. I can find all the chapters here on the regional website, and we have our list of chapters here. Now, let's say I'm going to check out the BNI Burr chapter. I can take a look at the list of members here, but I could also visit the chapter website. Now, this is a default chapter website right out of the box. Nothing has been done to this one. This is how every website looks. That is created in BNI Connect automatically. It's created off of a template. So you can see here that there is already a bunch of information about the chapter that's already part of this chapter website. On the left-hand side, we have all the details about the chapter. So we have a link to go and visit the chapter, what day they meet, what time they meet, what the location is, the phone number to reach somebody, the email address for the contact person of the chapter, the member count, who the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer is, who the director consultant is. All of this is populated automatically from BNI Connect. So in April or October, when the president changes, there will be a new president listed that's taken automatically from BNI Connect. So that's not something that you have to worry about updating. In here is the default text, just a little bit of information about BNI. It also does have a live thank you for closed business number. So it pulls the thank you for closed business number for the past completed 12 months. So right now it's taking through October 31st, and then on December 1st, it will take through the end of November as well. It will also list all of the upcoming chapter speakers for the next 4 weeks. You can see we have Art Garfunkel is going to sing us his new song as part of his 10-minute presentation. But your chapter would list your next 4 upcoming speakers, or 8 upcoming speakers if you have 2 speakers per week. There's also a chapter members page. This will list all of your chapter members automatically. This is often one of the hardest things to do on a site that you might host outside of BNI Connect, is trying to stay on top of the chapter roster and chase people down for information and constantly having to update it. This will be automatically updated as people join the chapter and as people leave the chapter. Now, by default, let's say we have Robert Lovejoy here. This is a default profile. If he hasn't filled out his profile in BNI Connect, this is pretty much what it's going to look like. There's no picture, but there is his business name and what he does and a phone number and an address to get in touch with him. For members that have taken a little bit of extra effort to start filling out their profile, like Alfred E. Newman here, we have a picture, we have his logo, a little description of his business. If he had filled out his TOPS profile, that would also be listed here. And there's also a chapter news feed. There's also a hidden page right now called the chapter gallery. That's like a photo gallery that is not listed here. It's hidden by default, but we can show you that as well. So again, this is a default chapter website. Let's take a look. There's a Golden Ideas BNI chapter in San Francisco. And they've done some pretty interesting things with their chapter website, just to show you some of the more advanced things that can be done with a chapter website. So you can see they've fully customized their home screen. They changed the thank you for closed business to green text. They've put in their own images. They went with a 2-column layout here. They put in a map to their chapter. You can see they have their upcoming speakers, what categories they're looking for in their chapter. If I click this hello button, it'll be a note from their current president. I can also take a look at their chapter members. They put a little bit of extra coding in here so that they can actually view their chapter members by power teams. So this was done manually by their web designer, but you can see that you can do some pretty advanced things here with the chapter website. Here's that gallery page that I was talking about. You could have a photo gallery showing maybe pictures from recent events that you've had. And again, this is, as I was saying, a more advanced chapter website. So what we're going to be discussing today, this is more of a 101 level course. So I'm going to show you how to get in to the editor, how to make some basic edits on the web page, and how to then publish those changes to your regional website. So let's take a look at that. In order to make changes to your chapter website, you do need to log in to BNI Connect. So it's all part of the BNI Connect system. So I'm going to close out of these tabs here. So this is the home screen in BNI Connect, and the place that you're going to go to edit your chapter website is going to be under the Tools menu. The Tools menu has some special back-end functions. Now, if you don't see the Tools menu, don't panic. It just means that you haven't been assigned as the chapter webmaster yet. This is something that does need to be done by your regional office. So your director consultant, your regional administrator, your executive director. If you're interested in making edits to your chapter website, you need to contact your regional office and say, I'd like to be the webmaster. They'll then assign that permission to you, and you will see the Tools menu magically appear. Once you see the Tools menu, you should see a CMS menu, and then you will see Chapter Websites. CMS, of course, stands for Content Management System. Kind of like WordPress is a CMS editor. Helps to control the content of the website. So here we have our list of chapters. Now, I'm a system admin, so I see all of the chapters. More than likely, when you log in, you would just see the one chapter that you are the webmaster for. But you can see the link here along with the full URL for where this chapter website is located. See the last time it was modified. And if we want to go in and make some edits to this chapter, we can click under the Options button. Now this is the front end of the CMS editor. So you'll notice that this is broken into a number of different tabs along the top. Each of those have different amounts of information on them. So the first one is our list of pages. So these are all the different pages that we have access to with the chapter website. So we have the home page, the chapter members page. These are different sections or sub-pages of the chapter members page. There's also the gallery page, which I mentioned is hidden to start with, but we can show that. And we have the news page. And again, if we click on the live URL, this is what the world is seeing of our website right now. Again, that's the home page, the chapter members page. If you click on a member, you have the member details page. And then the chapter details page is if you click on the chapter. This is the chapter details page. Again, there's the news page, and right now the gallery page is hidden. So if we wanted to show our gallery page, for example, I would click Show. Are you sure you want to show this page? Okay. Now you'll notice when I did that, there is now another tab along the top, and that's because the gallery page is a special type of page where you can upload photos to it. Now something else about website editors, if you've never worked with a website editor before, when you're working on your chapter web page, you're actually working on a back-end copy of it. There's always two copies of your chapter website. There's the live copy, and that's what the whole world is seeing. So if they go to your public presence, they'll be looking at your live web page. When you're working on it, though, you're working on a preview page. You're working on a second copy of it. That's so that you can experiment, make changes, do whatever you'd like with it, preview it, make sure it's correct, go back, make some more edits, all on the back end so that you're not showing your work in progress to the rest of the world. And that's called the preview site. So you notice on our preview site, we now have the gallery tab, but we haven't made that public yet, so the rest of the world isn't seeing that. In order to make whatever changes you've made on the preview site go public, what you need to do is publish those changes. So if I go ahead and now publish my page, the site has now been published, and if I go to the live web page, you'll now see that we have a gallery tab. All right, I'll come back to this page in a couple of minutes. Let's just take a look at these other tabs that are here. Now the first tab that you see is called the Library tab. The library is your library of images that you'd like to use on your site. In order to get a picture to display on your website, you've got to get it up into the BNI Connect servers. You do that by placing things into the library, and you need to do this before you go and start editing the site. So, for example, right now I don't have any images in my library. If I'd like to put some pictures onto my chapter web page, I'm going to click the Upload button. And then I'm going to search my computer for an image. Now I can grab anything I'd like. For example, I want to grab this, let's see, proud BNI member. I'd like to grab this BNI visitor picture. And I'm going to upload those two to the chapter website. Click Upload. Now these two graphics are waiting for me to use on the chapter website. You can also link to documents and flash files if you'd like to. Now the next tab along the top is the Site Information tab. This is a couple of back-end settings about the chapter website. The most important thing on here that you'll probably want to pay attention to is this thing called the chapter folder name. Now, if you noticed, my default chapter web page, the link to get to the chapter web page, is kind of ridiculous. It's a really, really, really long URL. That's because it's auto-generated. It puts on the name of the region and then the name of the chapter with dashes where all the spaces are. That's because it's automatically generated. But you're not stuck with that particular name. You can change this to whatever you'd like to as long as it's unique in your region. So for example, if I don't want people to have to go to antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-bni-bur-chapter, I'd like to just have them go to BRRR. I'd like them to go to BUR. I can change the folder name. Now all they have to do is go to antarcticreferrals.com/BUR. The rest of this information I don't recommend changing. The buttons, these are the buttons that are in the upper right-hand corner of the screen that bring you to the login screen for BNI Connect, as well as to the international headquarters website, as well as back to your regional website. There's also the visit chapter link that's in the upper left-hand side. So again, let me go back to antarcticreferrals.com. So again, these are these three buttons along the top: regional website, BNI International, and BNI Connect, as well as the Visit Chapter link in the upper left-hand side. So you can control what any of these say, although I do not recommend changing these ones. Check with your regional office first whether or not they prefer to keep those as they are. If you're using something like Google Analytics, you can put your analytics code down here. It doesn't have to be Google Analytics. If you're using another service, you can put the code down here as well. If you've made any changes here, do make sure you click the Update button, and you will have to republish back here on the website in order to make those go live. The final tab on here is the Gallery tab, and again, this is really a way for you to create a photo album that you're sharing on your chapter website. Right now, we don't have any albums, but I can create a new album and call this BNI Social 2014. This was the summer party. Click Submit. And we now have a folder here. I can put some photos up there. Add photo. And I can upload a photo. Give it a title and click Upload. I can upload as many photos as I'd like in there, and now those photos will appear in my gallery. All right, so let's go back to this Pages page and let's see how we actually edit one of the pages. Now on the pages, you do have a couple of different options. We have Edit Name, Edit Meta Tags, and Edit Content. Editing the name, you can actually change the name of the button on the screen. So for example, right now we have our home screen, we have our chapter members screen, the gallery and the news. I can change this home screen if I'd like to, and let's say I want that to be called About BNI, or About Our Chapter. I can click Submit. And if I go to the preview site, you notice this now has a button About Our Chapter. You can add meta tags. This does help with the Google searching and the other search engine optimization. That's an art form in and of itself, so I'm not going to go too far into this today. And finally, we have the ability to edit content. And this is really the bread and butter of it, where we're going to make our changes to the site. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this did open in a whole new window. A lot of people say, I'm clicking the button, and nothing's happening. Just make sure you have your pop-up blocker turned off, or you allow a pop-up on this particular page. And what we have here is the web page that we can make edits to. Now you'll notice right away that there's some portions of the page that you can edit and some portions that you can't. For example, this entire left-hand column, that is all the information that's automatically pulled from BNI Connect. If you remember, that is the chapter leadership and where the chapter is located and what the day and time of the chapter is. So if your chapter ever moves or anything like that, again, that will be all automatically updated from BNI Connect. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to publish it. That will just automatically show up correctly. And the same thing with the chapter speakers. The chapter speakers at the bottom will be input automatically when your secretary-treasurer enters speakers into the rotation. What we're going to be concerned with and doing most of the work on is this middle section here. Now you can expand this out if you'd like to see a little bit more of it. And in here you pretty much have free reign to do whatever you'd like to with the content that's here. Obviously, you want to keep it positive and supported. You want to keep it within BNI branding standards. Check with your executive director for any local policies about what's allowed and disallowed on a chapter web page. For any of you that might be web designers, one thing to keep in mind is that there is the source button up here. If you are more comfortable with coding directly in HTML, you are more than welcome to click the source button. Or if you're going to be using a third-party HTML coding program, you can do that as well and just copy and paste the source code. One other, I guess, little-known function of this is that you can use this to make a backup of your site. For example, I'm going to make a whole bunch of changes right now. A good way for me to back this page up would be to go to the source. Since this is all just plain text when it's in HTML like this, I can highlight everything. I can copy it. I'm going to go ahead and open up a notepad document and just paste it in there. I'm going to save that file on my computer so I have a backup of my original content here if I ever need to revert back to it. I'm going to go back into the WYSIWYG editor and let's make some changes to this site. Now most of the things that you'll see on here are fairly typical. If you've ever edited a Word document before, most of the buttons here should be fairly self-explanatory. Now this top row of buttons, again, that's mostly what you'll see in a Word document. So you can, if you make changes, you can undo those changes or redo those changes. There's also cut, copy, and paste. Now you'll notice there's 3 different paste options here. And that's because one is just a regular paste. The other 2 is paste as plain text and paste from Word. Websites are notoriously finicky Oh, sorry about that. I think I accidentally hit the mute button. Apologies for that. The buttons up here on the right-hand side are all form building buttons. That's a little bit more advanced coding that we're not going to get into today, but it does have the ability to do a form builder on here. The next row of buttons, some common editing functions. Of course, there's the superscript and subscript here. And you can do superscript. There's the bold. You can make things italic, underline them, and even do a strike through. You can create numbered lists as well as bulleted lists. If you need to increase the indent, you can do that, as well as decrease it. You can block out quotes. You can center justify, right justify, full justify. Again, these are all mostly typical word editing functions. When we get down to this row, this is a little bit more web-based functionality. For example, this first one is the link. If you'd like to link to another website or you'd like to redirect somebody somewhere, for example, when somebody sees BNI, I'd like them to click BNI and go to the BNI.com website. I can do that. I click the link button and I just put the URL in. Now when they click BNI, they'll be directed to the HQ website. The next thing you might want to do is to put some pictures on there from the pictures that you uploaded into your library. Now you do that by, let's pick a place for it, and then we click this Images button. This will open up a dialog, and you can click Browse Server. This will take you to your library. Now you notice there's some stock photography and some stock imagery up there. The thing that I'd like to do is I want to put this BNI visitor picture in there, so I'm going to double click that. Now I can see from this preview that it's a pretty big image, so I'm going to make that, I only want that to be about half as tall as it is there, and I click OK. One thing to keep in mind is you can link images as well, effectively creating a button. So if I'd like to link that, I can click the link button. And let's say I want them to get to support.bniconnect.com when they click that. You can also create tables and insert, break lines, things like that. Not sure why you'd want to, but you can put smiley faces in there. And the omega symbol is where you'd look for things like the registered symbol or the trademark symbol. Oops, wrong button. So if I need, let's say, the copyright symbol, I could get that out of this list, or the registered trademark. And finally, you have some styling options. You can change the font, although I do recommend using Arial whenever possible because that is the brand compliant font with BNI. You can change the text size and even the color and the background color. Now once you're satisfied with how this looks, I think it looks pretty good, I'm going to go ahead, I can preview this and save it. Once I close out, I can check out the preview site to kind of take a look at how this is, make sure things like our links work. And when I'm ready to make that live to the public, I can click Publish. And now if I go back to our live URL, this is our glorious, lovely new chapter webpage. All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour. what I'd like to do is if you do need to leave right away, I'd like to thank everybody for being here with me this morning and for sharing this information. Just a reminder, this is being recorded. It will be made available both on the support site and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. I would also love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do tons of things up here like webinar announcements and reminders and tips and tricks and release announcements, things like that. And what I'd like to do is to open this up for questions. Does anybody have any questions at all about the CMS editor or anything in BNI Connect? I'd love to answer those questions. Kathy says, can we post the link to our website publicly? I would say yes to that. It is a public website, so therefore you should be able to share that link with other people, especially after you've gone in and made it a more friendly link. You can definitely share that link. Deborah says, what's the best way to include links to members outside websites? The best way to do that is to have the members update their profiles. That will give the links to their outside website. So for example, let me go to my own profile on my chapter website. So my chapter is in the Rhode Island region, and if I go to the chapter members here and I go to myself, you'll see it has my website link, and it also has all of my social media links listed. These are all being pulled automatically from my profile in BNI Connect. So what you want to have your members do is make sure that they, in BNI Connect, click on Options and go to My Account, and then make sure that all of the information on their profile is updated, especially on the contact details page. Make sure that they have their website listed here, and they have all their social media links listed as well. And that'll make sure that it updates all of the information here because it's all pulled automatically from BNI Connect. Does that answer your question, Deborah? Larry says, I am interested in doing what Golden Ideas did with their individual member picks. Where in the CMS tool can I do that? That took quite a bit of advanced programming by their chapter webmaster. That is not something that can be automatically done here with the web editor. Again, their coding team, their webmaster, went ahead and did that. What I would suggest doing is possibly reaching out. I mean, one of the great things about BNI Connect is we're all kind of a big happy family here in BNI. I would reach out to that chapter and possibly the president and just say, hey, you know, I saw your site. I think it's awesome. I'd like to do some similar things. Do you mind if I talk to your chapter webmaster and get a conversation going with that chapter webmaster? All right. Hopefully that helps, Larry. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, again, thank you guys all so very much for being here today. By the way, a good referral for me is if you can please let your chapter members know about these webinars. We do hold a full series of these webinars on a monthly basis. Everything from entering goals for your chapter to building VCP, which is how to fill out your profile, to the online slips. We're at the end of our course rotation right now for the month. Our last webinar is going to be tomorrow, and we're going to be going through the entire visitors system in BNI Connect. So from the time you can invite a visitor, you can pre-register a visitor, you can follow up with visitors. We're going to go through the whole process in 30 minutes. Tomorrow, that's going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So please let your chapter members know about these webinars. That would be a great referral for me. All right, everyone, have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. If you're here in the United States, have an absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy connecting, everyone.